Hello, everybody. Thank you so much for joining today's webinar. There's quite a few registered for this one, so we might see more people drop in as we go through, but happy Friday and thank you so much for jumping on this morning. Just a little bit of housekeeping before we kick off and show you some really cool stuff that we're doing around agents. If you do have any questions, we have a whole bunch of people here to support. So we've got Chris from CPS, we've got Maggie from Microsoft, who'll be able to answer your questions. You can use the Q&A function within this webinar, or you can use the chat function if you wanted to have a bit more of a back and forth conversation. One of the things that we would recommend is we've got lots and lots of charities in this webinar. And so everybody's going to be on a different journey. Please make sure that you communicate with each other and learn off each other. So if you want to have a bit of a conversation in the chat as we're going through, please feel free to. The best way is to learn what everyone else is up to when it comes to agents. So the session's been recorded and we will be sharing the recording and the slides with you afterwards. So you don't need to worry about kind of taking screenshots or anything like that. We'll make sure all of that gets to you. So thank you very much for joining. Today's webinar is all around Copilot and agents for mission-driven teams. So what we want to really cover with you today is show you the art of the possible when it comes to Copilot agents. I've got a little bit around kind of the framework and some of the work that we're doing with some other customers. We've got some live demonstrations for you today as well, so you can actually see some of this in action and hopefully spark some ideas on how you could implement this within your own organisations to help and support your staff and the communities that you serve as well. So a quick introduction on your speakers for today. We're very lucky today. We are supported by Microsoft. So I actually do see some familiar faces in this webinar. So lovely to see your names pop up again from the customers that we've worked with previously. It'll be great to catch up with you afterwards and see what you thought of the webinar. So for those who don't know me, my name is Kat. I am the head of AI at CPS. That is Corporate Project Solutions, not any other kind of CPS that you might have thought of, which is an unfortunate acronym, but it's a good icebreaker. So I'm also an MVP. So what that means is I spend all of my spare time blogging and speaking at conferences and just nerding out about all the cool tech that's coming out. AI is a very, very exciting place to be right now. So I manage a team who deliver our AI projects to organisations like yourselves. We've got lots of architects and change managers and a really passionate team who implement technology, agents, Copilot chat to all of our customers around the UK. So really, really pleased to be here presenting some of the live demonstrations for you today. I'll hand over to Naomi to do her introduction as well.
Super, Kat, and welcome everyone, and thank you so much for spending your Friday morning with us. Let's try and keep the conversations going throughout the session. I sit within a team in Microsoft called Microsoft Elevate, and we look after nonprofits and edu organizations across the globe. My role itself, I look after EMEA-based customers, and I look after the solution AI business solutions. My focus for the webinar today is really to show you that we ultimately understand the challenges that our nonprofits in specific are faced with, and how we can see that there is a significant opportunity for nonprofits when it comes to agentic capabilities. That will be it for now, and Kat, back over to you.
Perfect. Thanks so much. I'll hand back for Microsoft to come in on a little bit. But before that, I just wanted to give a little bit more context in terms of who we are, what we've been up to, what we've been doing, and why are we the ones talking to you today about agents? What's our credentials? Have we done any of it? Yes, is the short answer to that. So we as an organisation, and I won't spend too long on this, so we are a professional services organisation. So when it comes to you and you're sitting thinking, okay, I want to implement AI, but I don't know where to start. We've maybe invested in some licenses we're having a look at some stuff. We are your partner to support you through that journey. We're your implementation partner. We will come in to support you with driving adoption of Copilot, running training sessions, delivering pilots. We also support with agents if you're looking to do a proof of concept for agents, just to try it out and see what the value is. If you're looking to do a large scale transformation and become a frontier firm, we're that implementation partner to support you there as well. So we're the doers, and we can come in and help you to see some of that value. A couple of things I wanted to point out here is last year, and I know that we've got some existing customers who we worked with on this in this webinar today. So we created the Microsoft playbook for agents within NFP, and we did that last year, which is published, which we can share a link to in the chat. And we worked with 3 charities to identify processes where agents can help within the NFP sector. So we have been doing this for a while now. It's something that we're very competent in, but particularly in this space. We created the playbook with Microsoft. We also have last year, towards the end of the year, we're very pleased. It was a very busy year, but we were the Partner of the Year finalist for Copilot and agents. And what that means is, out of all of the partners globally doing Copilot, doing agents, they said there's a winner and there's some finalists, there's 3 finalists, and CPS were one of those. And we were, in terms of the size of organization that we are, we really hit well above our weight in terms of our capability. So we're recognized globally for that as well. I always like to shout that out because my team worked very, very hard to deliver agents and deliver Copilot projects to organizations. You'll see all of our other badges on there: ProSci certified, security cleared, all of that good stuff. That just shows that we are that Microsoft partner that you can trust. But in terms of agents and Copilot and working in this space, it's something that is kind of our bread and butter. And I just wanted to share some existing customers who I know some of them are in this webinar today, so lovely to see you again. So we have been working extensively in this space, delivering Copilot adoption, building out business cases, but also implementing agents as well. So you should see hopefully some recognizable names on this list of customers that we've worked with who we're supporting through that journey on the frontier firm. So we are well placed, hopefully, to be able to talk to you about what you should, what use cases you might have, and actually what the value is to you doing agents in your organization. So I wanted to set a little bit of context. Why are we here? Who's Kat? What's she talking about? And why should she be talking to us? So hopefully that clears that up. And what I'll do is I'll just hand back to Naomi to do a little bit on the Microsoft context as well. So I'm just going to give you control, so bear with me. You'll see my mouse is massive here. It's a big purple mouse, and that is because I do lots of training and lots of demos, and the small white mouse just doesn't cut it. So I've just given that control, so hopefully now you're able to.
You're not coming across to me just yet. We'll just give it a moment or two.
Worst case, if you want to just steal the screen, that's fine as well.
So it's not giving me the option to do that. That's okay. If we can flick forward maybe to the next slide.
Is that not your...
It's not. There is a little section that I have, which is just talking about Microsoft Elevate and also the frontier firm. So I can just walk us through that if the slides haven't uploaded.
You've got to love a live presentation. That's always the way, isn't it? There's always something.
It's true. It's true. So maybe we can stop sharing. So I'm not looking at the Copilot as the UI for AI, and just talk off the bat. So the team that I sit on, if you're not aware, it's called Microsoft Elevate, and we are a team of a commercial team essentially supporting over 300,000 nonprofits across the globe. Our role and ultimately our mission within Microsoft is to ensure that our nonprofits and education customers aren't left behind when it comes to technology. That that gap is ultimately intensifying as we are shifting into this AI economy. A lot of people might actually say we're in the AI economy already today. And so our role really is to ensure that we are getting our nonprofits as ready as possible for the AI economy, and helping you guys realize the value that you can get ultimately from the set of solutions that we have at Microsoft. We see and understand ultimately that our nonprofits are faced with more challenges today than ever before. We recognize that fundraising is down. We also understand that whilst fundraising is down, the pressure is on to ensure that you are still delivering your mission outcome with less money, but also with less people too. So in the UK market specifically, there's so many roles within the nonprofit space that you're not able to fulfill. And that's where truly we see the role of agents being able to transform our nonprofits, not just to support in the side of fundraising or volunteer, but also across the entire operations of your organization. We will talk about some of the use cases, and Kat will bring us through that later on today. But in theory, what we're looking at is how agentic capabilities can really help you improve upon your mission, your planning, your operational efficiency, your data privacy and security, and also with that important fundraising. We at Microsoft often refer to something that is known as the frontier firm. This is not corporate jargon. Frontier firm is the new kind of organization that is innovating and innovating with AI specifically. We are ultimately recognizing a frontier organization as an organization that is driving transformation across the three pillars, which is people, processes, and also innovation too. Where we see it as most opportune for nonprofits is across 4 core areas. It's not just about adopting the new technology itself, it's reimagining how your organization is operating, how it can deliver against its mission, and how you can engage better with your staff, supporters, and the wider community too. I've touched on some of the points earlier around mission alignment, strategic planning, but the good news is that to become a frontier organization, we ultimately have a four-step program where nonprofits can really focus in on specific areas. So if we take a look at your employees or your staff as an example, with Copilot and agentic capabilities, you can help every worker and every volunteer transform their daily job, freeing up time for them to serve and deliver more. When we think about the programs that you need to deliver as a nonprofit, you can streamline the end-to-end process of those programs, and you can modernize the constituent experience too. You have a better chance of engaging your supporters and funders because you can reach more people, enhance relationships with those people that support your organization. And of course, operationally, it makes huge sense. It helps you deliver mission-based work a lot more efficiently. The way in which that we see the top use cases for nonprofits is it varies, right? And that's, I guess, the beauty of AI and agentic capabilities. It very much can meet you where you are as an organization and change an internal process that you have or an engagement that you have. But what we do see a lot of our nonprofits starting out with is the automation of manual program operations, for example, translating program data and documents to improve participant outcomes, improving frontline response and resource allocation as well. We've got several use cases across the board. And I did have a lovely slide showing you all the nonprofits that are delivering this however, technology is not on my side today. And also we have streamlining of the operations as well. What the net of the conversation is when we think of a frontier firm, we think of an organization ultimately that is approaching innovation with AI. There will be a point in time that every organization will be a frontier firm. And what that will ultimately look like is every employee within every worker, every staff member will become an agent boss themselves. But we're here to tell you that that is a journey that you go on. And using the 4 pillars that I referred to earlier is part of making up that journey. What AI and Copilot can ultimately do for you from a outcome perspective, based on the total economic impact report, it can help your organization increase fundraising output up to and by 20% in 3 years. It can help you to decrease technology costs, which is a massive consideration for nonprofits, by at least 50%. It can improve the operational efficiency by 25%. And staff retention is a huge one. I know I personally like to work with a nice UI day to day, and it is a massive thing for staff retention. All of the reports, work health index reports indicate to it. So it can help to increase your staff retention by 18%. The value is ultimately there. And our challenge to you ultimately today is, where are you going to get started? That is it from my side, Kat. Back over to you, please.
No worries, and thank you for doing that without slides. Apologies, we will share the slides after. It's always good fun when you're doing these things live, so thank you for bearing with. But no, I think that's really important in terms of that frontier firm. You're on that journey. We're working with organisations who are at the start, you know, some are a little bit further ahead. What I'm going to talk a little bit now about is the technology fits into what Naomi was saying around frontier firm. So we've got a mix of people in the room, and it would be great if you can post in the chat what your organization is, if you've been using agents, if you're building agents now. It would be great just to see where everyone is at in that journey. Do not know what an agent is, that's fine. But if you are happy to just maybe share in the chat, how far along that journey are you? Have you started rolling it out? Are you just doing proof of concepts? If you don't want to, that's fine as well. But it might just be nice to see, you know, where everybody is on the journey in this webinar. So to make sure that we're all on the same page, when we talk about agents, we're talking about your own custom Copilot that is designed for a specific task or a business process. And I like this slide because it shows you how it all comes together. So what you'll see here is we have a staff worker and an employee who is using Copilot, Microsoft 365 Copilot or Copilot Chat, and that's for their personal productivity. So Copilot's going to look at my emails, it's going to look at my team's messages, it's going to help me write my documents, it's going to help me write my emails, and it's going to save me time. I hope you've realized what I was doing there with the me. And that's really important, it's personal productivity. But when you start moving to agents, we're looking more at processes and tasks. So the agents will help me and my department with something. It will help me and the organization with something. So if I give you an example that we use, you might have an agent. If you're we all kind of manage projects within our organizations, that goes across the board. You might have agents to help you manage those projects. So I might have an agent for managing risks in a project. I might have an agent for doing a budget for a project. I might have an agent for doing a project plan. You'll notice there I haven't said we've got a project manager agent. And that's because agents are designed to be really specific doers and really specific, cover really specific tasks. Microsoft have created a project manager agent, the good news, so you don't need to go and build one. But that project manager agent has 42 agents behind it working together to then provide you with that one big project manager agent. So when we're thinking about this, we're thinking about agents that are going to help with tasks, with processes, with departments. And you'll notice that we've got multiple ones in here. We can have agents working together and talking to each other as well. So it's quite exciting when we start to think about that. And the art of the possible when it comes to agents. Now, I'm going to show you the slide, and it's not there to scare anybody, and I'm not expecting you to read it, and it is very busy. And we will share this with you afterwards, but what I just wanted to show you was, at the moment, a lot of organisations, and thank you for the input in the chat, some organisations are just having a look at the start of that journey. Some are a little bit further ahead. But when it comes to an organisation saying, we want to do AI, we want AI everywhere, that's great. But if you have that mindset and you don't think about it as a platform, you will have AI with, you'll have different AI tools, you'll have different risks, you'll have different controls, different ways to manage it, and you will have a huge risk of shadow AI. Which is what we find in lots of organizations. We ran a report with one organization. They had over 300 AI tools that they were using, and somebody was using it to create pictures of cats. That was like one of the use cases. So what we're trying to move towards is the Microsoft Frontier Agent Platform. Think about it more as a platform. And what you'll see here is we have different elements to this platform which cover different personas. So you'll have agents that are zero code. So you have people within your organization who can build agents for themselves. And that's important because they're the ones who understand the challenge and the process, and they know what the problem is that they're trying to fix. So what we're seeing is people, as Naomi said, being an agent boss and actually building an agent for their department and giving it to their department so we can get benefit from it. We don't need any kind of coding skills to be able to do it, but we do need to provide people with a platform that is safe and secure for them to safely be able to implement those. And we're seeing that being analysts, being social workers, being volunteer support workers, fundraisers, marketers. Those are the people that are understanding the process and they're creating the agents. You then have the other persona, which is maybe if I want an agent for a big, business process, that maybe it's integrating with other tools. Maybe I want to have multi-agents working together to solve this process. That's where you would start to have more involvement from professionals within IT who have the skills, the low-code skills to start building that out in Copilot Studio. And then we move further down the persona list, which is developer. So we can use, you'll see the agent development platform on the left-hand side. We can go into Azure AI services and customize AI solutions even more. And when we're looking in the agent development, that's where we're like training AI models. And we're working with an organization who've created an agent for their due diligence process, and they have hundreds and thousands of packs of files that they have to go through and answer questions about, is this a thing that we want to actually move forward with as a project? Does it hit, our climate change requirements and our risk, requirements? And actually, we're using Azure AI Search to go and look at all of those files and answer some of those questions. So it does get quite powerful. But importantly, on the right-hand side, you'll see the agent control system. Whenever you're starting on your journey with agents and AI all up, governance has to be a forefront of your mind. It's great to kind of build stuff and play around with stuff, but we need some of those kind of baseline things in place first. So you'll see some of the tools that hopefully are familiar to some of you: Entra, Purview, Defender. These are your Microsoft 365 tools already that you should hopefully be starting to deploy or looking at deploying. But you have Agent 365 in there as well, which is a platform to be able to manage all of the agents within your Microsoft tenancy. And so I guess the thought is, and when we're starting to move to agents and building POCs and understanding the value, having this in mind as actually is a platform that we're going to get to where we have full control and we have it governed and we have people being able to be an agent boss and build their own agents, and we're seeing a huge amount of value. So this kind of links into that frontier firm and just a consideration there. And again, don't be scared by it. I know it's a lot, but it's just to show you how far it goes if we kind of take a step back with AI. So to pull it back down then, showing you all the scary capability, let's bring it back down to something more simple for today. What we're going to show you, and I'm going to show you my live demonstrations now, so you're probably sitting there like, Kat, come on, we want to see some stuff. Don't worry, I'm going to show you something in a second. What we're going to show you today is some examples of use cases where we have seen a return on investment for Microsoft Copilot agents. We're going to show you the spectrum. So I'm going to show you some retrieval agents. So this is where we've got a Copilot agent. It's looking at some files, it's looking at some policy information. It's able to pull that information through to my staff member, nice and easy. We also have task agents. So this is where you've got an agent that's doing something. It's not just going away and looking at some of your files and answering questions. It's able to go and update something. It's able to go and, conduct an action. And I'll show you that in a second. Then we have fully autonomous agents, which is quite exciting. This is where agents are working by themselves. So for example, we've worked with teams with their kind of fundraising teams, and they have a section of that managing volunteer queries coming in, and we've got something to show you on that. But an autonomous agent would be a volunteer query agent that's automatically answering questions through an email that come through about volunteering. Where do I volunteer? How do I do it? What if I work full time? And the agent automatically answers those questions without you having to do anything. So it's working by itself. So we have a spectrum. We're going to show you some of those today and hopefully get some of your ideas going in terms of where agents might fit in to your organizations as well. All right, so let's start. Let's do a live demonstration. The first one that I'm going to show you is an agent that's a retrieval agent. It's all around supporting staff internally. So the one that we have, I wanted to use an example of one that we have used within another organization. We've done a HR type agent for many organizations. I did see that there was an NHS trust in this meeting as well. So we did build a HR agent for Blackpool NHS Trust, a hospital teaching school trust, and rolled that out to them last year. So we can kind of talk a little bit about where it fits in with the NHS as well. So what I'm going to do is I'm going to show you that first internal staff support agent, which is our HR agent. Now, this agent, it's a retrieval and a task agent. And if I use the organization that we worked with, we had an organization that had 7,000 people within it. And they said they measured the number of emails and calls that were going through to their HR team. In 1 year, it was over 100,000 emails and calls to that HR team in 1 year, and that was 2025. And their goal was to say, could we reduce that by 75%? Can we reduce all of those emails and calls coming through to our HR team so they can actually spend their time being more proactive and working on more complex issues rather than answering simple questions? The answer is yes, we can. And we created a Copilot Studio agent. So it's not having to use any Foundry, Azure technologies or anything like that. Copilot Studio to answer questions and support staff with booking off holidays and raising issues to HR. So in this scenario, we have our HR helper agent, which again, the retrieval aspect is nice and easy. So I've got an agent in here where I can say, what's our maternity leave policy? It's going to go in. We've actually said to this agent, we want you to only use our policies at this organization, nothing else. Don't look at the internet. Don't pull outdated policies through. Just look at these current ones. And when you reply, I want you to be friendly and I want you to be in natural language and I want you to put some bullet points in there and summarize the policy information. So that's how we've designed this agent, nice and easy. Now, interestingly, since we do have an NHS attendee in this room, when we were building this with another NHS trust, they actually, we realized that the policies were so nuanced, and you might have this within your nonprofit organizations as well. You have policies not just on maternity leave, but you'll have policies on culture, on race, and they can be really nuanced. So you might have a question that might be, can I wear jewellery to work? And it says, goes away, it has a look and it's great. Yes, you can put that through. But if I said, can I wear religious jewellery to work? That's a very different question. It's very nuanced and the policies are very nuanced around it. So we had to use, and what we ended up using was a better model within Copilot Studio to be able to handle those nuances. So you may be thinking, actually, this is, it's a really simple, it goes away, it looks at the policies, but actually when you have that level of detail, these tools can be really, really helpful to support that. Apologies if you can hear some background noise there. So what you'll see here is we've got a summary of our maternity leave policy. What I'm also going to do is I'm going to ask in natural language, what about dads? And because it's AI, it's able to understand the context of that information. So it's able to understand I'm asking for the paternity leave policy, not just the maternity leave, or not just talking about dads. So it'll go and understand that question. Here's our paternity leave policy. Now, when we were working with some other organisations, we had staff members who have accessibility requirements, who had English was not their first language and it was their second language. So this agent was supporting people who maybe have dyslexia. So if you have spelling mistakes or you're not able to kind of or you're not able to kind of type your full sentence out there, it'll still understand the context. You have the voice capability in here, so I can dictate what the question is, and it supports other languages as well. So I could ask the question in Polish as an example, and it will pull back the policy information in Polish, but actually my policies are in English. So it is able to do that translation for you. So accessibility is quite huge here. So that's a really nice, quick and easy retrieval piece. And it seems, you'll see here actually, just to show you the Polish example that I've got here. So I'm asking for the maternity leave. I don't know if anybody speaks Polish here. Test me on my Polish skills, but that's asking question straight in with Polish, and then it's able to go and pull through those policies. I'm sorry if you can hear some background noise. Just let me know if that's an issue or not. And so you'll see it's actually pulling through that policy in Polish there for me. So it's summarizing that. What I'm just going to do, sorry, bear with me 1 second. All right, so what I'm going to do is I'm going to actually ask this agent to do a task for me. So I'm going to book off some holiday days. So I'm going to say to it, hey there, how many holiday days do I have? And this agent's connected to our HR system, which is a non-Microsoft tool. So it's able to go in and actually answer questions and understand who's asking the question. So it knows me, Kat, is asking the question. It's able to go in and actually access our HR data and pull that through. And I've said, I want you to pull it through in a nice kind of quick, you've got 6 days. Do you want to book some holiday time? And have I answered your question? So what I'm going to do here is I'm going to say, yep, let's book some holiday days. I want to book off this, from April to end of April to beginning of May. And I can work that through. Would you like to create a holiday request? Yes, create a holiday request. Let me just do that now. And what this can actually do is send an approval process through to my manager to say, Kat's requested these days off. Do you want to approve it or not? And it'll talk me through how many days do you want to book, when do you want to book them, and I can continue that request. That will go through to my manager. When they hit approve, hopefully they hit approve, that actually will update my HR system. So then when I ask it, how many days do I have left now, it will say 4 or 3 or however many days I've booked off. So as well as the retrieval, it's going in and it's actioning that piece of work for me as well to pull through that request. And this may seem quite simple, but for that organization, the return on investment was huge just because of the amount of queries like this, where they had questions that are really simple being answered by the HR team, and they were spending all of their time of an influx of emails and calls. Now, of course, this is through a chat function. We've built this so it works with an email as well. So if somebody emails the HR team, it's able to automatically respond and say, great, you've got this many holiday days left, or here's the policy for, maternity leave and so on. And I can have that conversation through an email as well as the chat. What I'm going to do next is show you another example of an agent. And this one is a little different because it's not just for everybody. It's an agent that we have built for customers where you have a support worker arm of your organization. So you might have support workers You might have social workers, you might have people. I know we've worked with teams in different charities where you have employment services, so you support service users with getting CVs and interviews and helping them to get employment. And so this agent that I'm going to show you now supports those types of workers as they're kind of, helping communities, vulnerable adults, children, and so on. And the agent that we're going to show you is our care assessment agent. And our care assessment agent, our case management agent, is designed for the frontline workers. So Naomi mentioned earlier that she, it helps with the frontline workers to deliver that mission. What we've identified is when it comes to working with service users, vulnerable adults, children, people who are homeless, there's a huge amount of admin that goes along with that role. It's a very, very challenging role. People that we work with are out, they're visiting the vulnerable adults and the children. They're maybe at their house or in a hospital or in a soup kitchen. They're out on site and they're having to have a discussion with that service user. How are you getting on? What's the update? Is there any mobility issues or anything like that? They will manually write that down on a notepad and pen. They'll maybe do 5 or 6 of those meetings in the day. And then at the end of the day, they go back to the office and they have to type those notes up manually. And then they have to put those notes into assessment formats. And those assessments could be risk assessments. It could be care plans. It could be Care Act assessments. There's lots and lots of different types of assessments that have to be filled in whenever those meetings happen. And not only that, they have to put those in the assessment templates and then upload them manually to their care management systems or their case management systems. And that takes a huge amount of time. And the impact on that is not just the time, but it's the service impact as well. We've worked with teams where they've said, because we have so many assessments that we have to manually create, they are delayed. And that delay doesn't just mean, the admin doesn't get done in time. Some of those assessments are there to actually help discharge vulnerable adults from hospital. And so if their assessments aren't done, those adults are still in hospital waiting to be discharged. And it was really, really impactful when we showed this agent and worked with another organisation. They said, actually, that's going to help us free up beds in the NHS because we can get our, discharge assessment paperwork done quicker, and not having to wait 3 days for it. And that's not due to anything apart from it. There's an overwhelming amount of admin to do, and people are very overworked. So let me show you what it looks like. So this is a mobile scenario. So we have a social worker or a service worker who is going out and visiting their service user. And again, that could be vulnerable adult, child, and any kind of services that you offer as part of your charity. I'm going to go in person on my mobile, and I'm going to simply open up the Teams app. And when I'm in the Teams app, I'm going to turn on this little button here, which is the Meet Now button in Teams. And that's going to start up what's called the facilitator agent. Now, the facilitator agent is actually an agent that is available to you with the Microsoft 365 Copilot license. It is an out-of-the-box frontier agent that is already pre-built by Microsoft. So that this is something that can help people when it comes to taking notes and actually recording and transcribing meetings. This facilitator agent is going to kick up and start running. And what it's going to do is it's going to take my notes for me. So what this actually does is it gets rid of the need for sitting and trying to scribble down my handwritten notes when I'm talking to the service user. That's what this gets rid of. I can simply put my phone in front and I can ask for permission to record and transcribe the meeting. So as long as you have your consent, you can say, great, I'm going to record it for my notes. And you'll see here, what I can do is I can see that the facilitator is taking notes. So that I've got this on my mobile in front with the service user. What you'll see, and if I just go back slightly there, what you'll see here is it's recording, but it's also note taking in the background for me. The only thing I need to do when I do this is say who's in the room. So I've got me, Kat, social worker, and I've also got John, who we're working with, and here's the location of where we're at. What you'll see here is if I just go back to, and it's a recording on purpose because we love technology and sometimes I like to just double check it's going to work. What you'll see here is I have a mute button as well. So if I'm in the meeting and John turns around to me and says, Kat, can you stop recording for this part of the meeting? That's fine. I'm going to mute it. It's going to stop recording. When you're ready to re-record, unmute, and it will carry on. And as soon as I've done that meeting, I just hit this big red button and hang up, and that's all I need to do. I'll then go to my car and I'll drive to my next meeting and I'll continue on my journey, and then I'll do the same again, open up my calendar, click on the Meet Now, and I'll simply pull up my facilitator agent. It'll record it for me and I'll hang up that button, and then I'll go to my next one and so on. But it doesn't just end there. At the end of the day, when I've had all my meetings, I can use my care assessment agent or my care management agent. We can name it something better, something more fun. And I can actually get my agent to help me with my assessments as well. So I've done all of my meetings, I've recorded them all. I'm going to go into the chat and I'm just going to start a new chat, just like I would with a colleague. But this time I'm going to look for my case agent that's going to help me with all of my assessments. And you'll notice it's just like a chat. So I've just said, hello. And my agent's turned around and said, hello, how can I help you today? And I'm just going to put in there in natural language, can you summarize my latest meeting that I've had, the one that I've just finished? And what this is able to do is work with the facilitator agent to actually pull through a summary. So what we've actually done with this agent is said, anytime somebody asks for a summary, make sure it's in this language, in this format. So you'll see I've got your most recent recording. You had 20 minutes and you were talking with John and you had a good discussion. It's a friendly summary. Here's what you talked about. Here's how things have been at home. Here's the mental health situation. And it's basically your update that you can put into your case notes to say, here's all the information that we talked about in the meeting. Now, we can change the output of this and how it looks and how it works. But the idea is that I could even go one step further and say, great, I want you to send this as an email to the person that we've been working with, the family or the service user if you wanted to. But I'm not going to stop there. I've got a summary of my conversation. I could say now, I want you to create my assessment for me. And what we've put into this agent is a template that we want it to follow. So every time it creates that assessment, it's going to follow the right template. Now, we could actually look at this from, multiple meetings. So I could say, look at all of my meetings I've had with John in the last 2 weeks. Or about John in the last 2 weeks and pull through my assessment. So it doesn't have to just be one meeting. It can be ones that you've had internally, ones that you've had with John on site. You can pull through them all to pull through and do that assessment. So you'll see I've got my adult assessment and support plan in here, and it's actually filled in the assessment details. But the important thing you'll notice is if something is mentioned, it will say, yes, mobility is mentioned, but it says not mentioned if it's not talked about. So the key thing here is it's not making stuff up and it's not coming up with a diagnosis. It's simply filling out the admin for you. And as a social worker or a support worker, I'll sit there and I'll review that. I can change it. I can continue to update it and say, actually, can you add more detail? Can you fill in the mobility issues specifically that we were talking about? Can I update any of this information? When I'm happy with it, I can then say, put it into a Word document, and I can say, in this case, upload it to my CSM. So we've connected this to my care assessment agent, and you'll say, great, I'm going to finalize it so you can review it, and then I'm going to upload it straight to your case management system. What I'm also going to do in here is say, great, I've done my admin and I've done this in a couple of seconds. Can you now help me write a letter to the family, just summarising what we've talked about and what we've done? And then again, here it's created that kind of conversation for me. So you'll see here, thank you so much for your conversation. Here's the next steps. Here's what we talked about. And you'll see that in there. So one of the key things with this was really to automate that process, but have the human in the loop checkpoints. So responsible AI, we're not getting this agent to diagnose people. We're not getting this agent to come up with its own narrative, or fill in things that aren't there. It has to be secure. It has to be, created in a way that it's going to provide value. And again, the impact of this agent wasn't just time saving and impact for social workers and support workers. It's also the impact of the service, your service that you're providing to your communities is improved. People are getting discharged quicker, they're getting the notes quicker, we're able to progress things quicker. And so it has a huge impact on the mission that you're driving there. All right, so my last one, before I'm just conscious of time. The last one I wanted to show you is a little different. And so I've shown you kind of the internal policy, HR support for all the staff. We've got one that supports your frontline staff when they're out on the go on a mobile. But the other one is, what about your external public, volunteers? What about those kind of people that we're also helping and supporting? Now, with this one, I want you to use a little bit of imagination and imagine a charity website that you have. Maybe it's Save the Children, maybe it's Salvation Army, maybe it's a volunteer page that you have on your public-facing website. So just use some imagination there. What we can build is an agent that actually supports your volunteers or the public who are asking about volunteering to your charity. So what you'll see here is I'm on the website, and on the right-hand side, I've got a little chat bot that pops up to say, hello, do you need some help with questions about volunteering? Now, we worked with a fundraising team who said their biggest pain point was answering questions about volunteering for the public, but the volunteers that they already have as well. And they had a shared mailbox that they all had access to, and the amount of information, the emails that came through to them, that it caused them a huge amount of headache, because that was basically their full-time job, was answering all of these emails, plus their day job that they had on top of it. And so all of the questions are simple things like, how do I apply? What about the expenses? Those questions that are available on the website, and they are available in policies and FAQs, but people like to talk to people. And so what we've got here is an agent that can be put onto your public website, and I can say things like, hello, how do I volunteer? And again, it works in the same way as an agent that we've shown you before. It understands the context. I don't need to spell things correctly. I can just put kind of natural language in there. So you'll see here, welcome, we're so happy you're interested to volunteer. Here's how you actually do it. Here's some volunteer support information. And that's a link to an area in the website that they can look at. And we can customize what this looks like. I've just said, I want you to summarize the information and just have some key points. You can change the language, you can put it in a table, you can make it more bullet points, totally up to you. But it also understands some personalization. So if I said things like, well, I work full time, so how am I going to actually do it? Are there any flexible roles available? Yes, there are. Great. Here's how we do it. Well, we've got loads of people who work full time, and loads of people who work on a busy schedule, who volunteer. And here's some flexible options that we have for you. What we can also say are things like, how do I volunteer? What's the process? What's the next steps? And it's going to field all of those questions that you have coming through to your fundraising and volunteering teams. And this is the volunteer scenario. But if you can imagine any public queries that you get to your organization, you could put an agent on your website that fields so many of them, and then pulls in a customer service person if they need to, but not actually having to sit there and answer the same question over and over again. So you'll see here, here's how you start volunteering. Great, here are the next steps. And what I could even do, because it's AI, I could say and ask it for help. And you don't have to have this if you don't want to, but we could even say, great, can you help me write a short message to my team or a friend about how to volunteer to your charity, because I want them to volunteer as well. So it's smart enough to be able to say, great, here's a little short message, and we're going to pull that together. Now, of course, I might say, can I speak to a person? I'd prefer to speak to a person or a human. So there's a couple of scenarios here to escalate to a person. One, if the agent is not able to answer the question, it will say, I'm sorry, I can't answer your question. So if it just doesn't understand what you've said, and it has no way to kind of, ask more questions to find out the answer, it'll say, do you want me to just pull in a human? So there is a human element to it. You could also say, if somebody says, I want to speak to a person, what we also work with teams is if there's any sentiment issues where they're talking about mental health, or I know some charities are supporting people who deal with things like suicidal thoughts and those types of things. That sentiment's important. We don't want the agent to be handling any of those queries, and so it can recognize sentiment, whether it's negative or positive, and it's able to pull in a human where appropriate. So that's really important as well. Same with a HR agent, actually. If somebody's talking about mental health, it's not going to keep giving you, it's not your psychologist to give you information, it's going to pull in a person, and that's really important. So I can say, can I speak to a human agent? Yes. How you do that is up to you. So this could be an email that's sent to that shared inbox to say, hello, somebody needs your help. we've worked with NHS trusts, and we've got an NHS trust in here, to put a ticket into ServiceNow. So if you manage your request coming through in a portal and Dynamics or in ServiceNow, we can get the agent to raise a ticket. It could be a Teams message where it pings all of your team to say, hello, somebody needs your help. However you manage those kind of queries, we can work with it. A really great way is actually through Dynamics 365, because you have a little chatbot that pops up on Dynamics that says somebody wants to speak to a person, so come in and speak to it. So lots of different options there. And I did mention the autonomous aspect of this, of having this agent work for your emails as well, not just the chat. So if you get emails coming through, it fields off those initial questions, and it's not going to, it doesn't just have to be the chat. So hopefully that shows you some of the examples of the stuff that we're working on and some of the use cases that we're starting to see that cover internal, external, you know, and frontline workers, and helping to achieve some of that kind of that value. And just really quickly, a couple of things that I just wanted to share in terms of the value and the ROI. So whenever we are working to build agents out with organizations, at the stage where everybody's at now is we need to see that return. How is it impacting us? So we have a framework that we use, and this is Microsoft's framework as well. So we may have pinched some of that from you, but it really works, and it's measuring the value in 3 ways. We measure value with ROI, productivity gains, time saving, cashable savings. If you're able to process assessments quicker, does that reduce the amount of fines that you pay because you've been doing it late and missing deadlines? What about return on employee? How does that help well-being, employee retention, reduction on sick days? What about return on customer, that service user, that member of the public? Is it faster responses? Is it improved reputation? You know, all of those come into play. So whenever we're measuring the value of an agent, we're looking to make sure it covers at least 2 out of 3 of these pieces here. So you'll see the example on the volunteer agent, just the queries that are coming through, the queries that the agent can answer, the quality of responses, and just that time saving that you're getting from that. But what does that mean for employee retention, well-being? And that volunteer support agent is now spending their time on more complex cases, proactive work. And so you're seeing that benefit and that value. So it's a framework that is published. It works very well, and it's key in terms of managing that scale of agents. And so what we have at CPS, because we work so closely with Microsoft, there is options that we do. We work very closely together in building out proof of concepts and building out some of these initial agents. We have what's called a Copilot Power Envisioning Proof of Concept project. And what that basically means is we will come in with you, we will do some art of the possible, we'll maybe do an agent in a day event, but actually identify use cases from yourselves of high value, you know, agents that we can build. Sometimes it's easier to use the ones that we've already identified. So the volunteer support one, we have volunteers, great, we can come in, we can support building that agent out for you, testing it and helping you to see that value as well. And then talk about next steps and where do you go from here. So if you do want that support and you're just thinking about maybe one agent, maybe you want to do the volunteer agent or one of the ones that we've shown you today, we will be sending a follow-up to reach out to you. So please let us know and we can support you with that. The good news is there is some Microsoft funding available dependent on eligibility. So I will just say that. So Microsoft do put skin in the game when it comes to building this stuff out. So if you want to find out if you're eligible to have maybe some of this funded by Microsoft, again, you can let us know and we can follow up with that and do a check for you if you're available or if you're eligible, sorry. And just on here, we have got a QR code. So if you, again, we start with a funded proof of concept to build your first agent, you can book a discovery call with us as well. So if you want to scan that QR code, you'll fill out a form and we can book in and pick a date that works for you. If you're just wanting to find out more, if you don't know where to start, you've got some ideas, you want to look at governance plans or how do you scale, please feel free to book that session in with us and we'll sit with you and kind of talk through you know, your next steps and how we can support from there as well. Before I finish, Naomi, I don't know if you wanted to jump in with any kind of final points there just before we finish. If not, all
Good
good.
on my side.
Perfect, wonderful. Well, thank you so much for listening, everybody. I hope you have seen some ideas of how we can start to look at agents in our organisation. I'm just going to we've got a few minutes left. I'm going to go to the Q&A and the chat. I know we have Maggie and Chris who've been on there. Maggie and Chris, I don't know if there's any questions that haven't been answered that you'd like us to cover, anything that you'd like to call out in particular, please feel free to, but we do have a few minutes left. And so we'll hang on for some more questions. I see there's quite a lot that's been answered already.
I think Stephen raises a really good question in the chat, which is, and it's a challenge across the board for all of our nonprofits, or grant-driven organizations even, but no capacity, no internal capacity, and prioritizations are ultimately sitting elsewhere. And then it seems very expensive. So I've kind of put my 2 cents in the chat, but it would be good to hear, Kat, what your view on that is and how we can support customers that are in that space.
Absolutely. I think when it comes, a partner is a good way to start with that. And that's what we find is we have organizations that we work with. And I don't know if there's somebody who's in this meeting. I don't know if she's still here. We've worked with a charity where there was one person who had a full-time job and was given the job of do Copilot within our organization and help us see value from it. And so there was no resource, no capacity, and we actually have that issue with a lot of our customers. From my perspective, a partner is a good shout. We can be your boots on the ground. We can take that resource off of you at this time. When there's talking about expenses, a lot of our customers are utilising that funding and a partner which covers cost and effort, and will come in and do that heavy lifting for you. Some of our customers, want to use that as a learning opportunity. So if you've got people within your organization, Power Platform consultants, or people that, we've got an IT who want to learn to build agents as we're doing it with you, it's a great opportunity to do that as well. But that would be my recommendation, what we've seen, using a partner, using funding, using the resources that are available to help you on that journey. We'll be able to support. Perfect. All right, so if there's no other, I can see some great conversation in the chat and we've had some great Q&A. If there's no other questions, we'll end the session there. Please fill out the QR code to get that free discovery call, and please feel free to reach out to us directly if you have any follow-up questions. But thank you so much for attending. I hope it's been useful. And yes, you're on a very exciting journey with AI. So looking forward to working with you on that.